Hi, thank you for joining me. I'm Trace Williams. This is an extended version of What Do You Think? Today, Q, a look back. Reread is a must. As we read on and follow the crumbs that have and continue to be dropped upon us, we eagerly try to figure out what it all means. There are an incredible number of new internet sensations working diligently to research each and every clue that has been given. I start by saying thank you for all of your fortitude and dedication and extremely difficult labor in your search for the truth. You all possess talents of your very own to get the message out to the brothers and sisters you've never met, yet care so deeply for. Today, I wish to begin again. I am working on the notion that we are watching a movie. A movie indicates to me that there is a script, a cast of characters, a setting. There is a plot. In a movie, there is an introduction, a storyline that leads to a climax. Oftentimes, there is a holy smokes, didn't see that coming plot twist. We then have the conclusion and the epilogue. Where are we now? I would have to say we reached the climax. This is the moment in the film where the good guys were in peril, momentarily, or seemingly. With one stroke of the pen, momentum turns, and the hunters become the hunted. A moment when the good guys flip the script and begin to turn the tables on the black hats. What is the plot twist? That is what this piece is all about. I'm going to re-examine the first 44 posts. What my intention is to read them and put them together and determine if we knew everything by early November 2017. This is my report. Q Drop 1 came 9 months and 8 days after the inauguration of President Donald J. Trump. On October 28, 2017, we were informed that a day prior, Hillary Rodham Clinton extradition had already begun. We were informed that this event to detain HRC was assigned to the U.S. Marines. In the meantime, the National Guard had been activated. Although not specifically indicated why, it seems they were activated in case of massive riots. We were informed in Drop 2, dated the same, HRC had been detained. Not arrested yet, just detained. We were given some question as to the whereabouts of Uma and husband Anthony. What is the relevance? My questions are, if you're going to detain someone, do you not have to have sufficient evidence to do so? If you have substantial evidence, when did the investigations begin? Was there not a promise made that an investigation would begin on day one of the Donald J. Trump presidency? If one cannot trust the branches of the DOJ, then does one count on the loyalty of the military intelligence? I believe we were being told that the investigations have been long underway, maybe even prior to the election of President Trump. Think Rogers, Flynn, and Nunes, just to get the mind wandering. Remember, the NSA has it all, and they've had it all, even then. They had the goods, so to speak, on husband Anthony. Did they find the goods on Uma and HRC? Did Uma save herself and sing like a bird about the misdeeds of one HRC? Folks, I'm on day one of Q. As I think logically, I believe that HRC has already been taken down, offered a deal to play a part in the upcoming movie in exchange for what quite possibly her life. That would explain why we see her only sparingly and only when it matters to the storyline. The Wiener couple, I believe, has already been dealt with, appropriately. I do not believe in the theory that HRC will throw her hat in the ring for another shot at the presidency. It is too late for her. Also in post number 2, 2 additional characters were introduced, Soros and Obama. The question is asked if they have more power than the current sitting president, Donald J. Trump. The answer to that question is, of course not. The question is also raised as to why Soros gave up all his money to charity. I looked at that question again. all of his money to charity. Not some, all. Would that have anything to do with the forfeiture of all assets to the United States if found guilty of crimes against humanity? Again, I'm on day one. Post number 3 introduces several new characters in a movie that we are currently watching. Rod Rowe for short, Bob Mueller, Trey Gowdy, James Comey, and Satan. And we are enlightened on another piece of the action, Uranium One. The meeting between President and Rod Rowe and Bob Mueller, we are informed, had nothing to do with becoming FBI director and everything to do with we have it all, gentlemen. Here is your script. This is your part. Play it. This may have also been a deal in exchange for lives. We're informed in post number 3 that POTUS has it all. The first priority is to remove the bad actors and unite the American populace behind the America First agenda. Thus far, day one of the post, we are informed that Anthony and Uma have been dealt with. HRC has been dealt with. Rod Rowe and Bob Mueller have been dealt with. Soros knows his time draws near, and the screws are being put to Comey. We were also informed that this is not a Republican versus Democrat issue. It is good versus evil, hence the introduction of Satan into the cast of characters. Drop number 4, dated October 29, 2017, makes it known that POTUS is insulated and safe. He is surrounded by generals. But the one line that really jumps off of the page at me is this. Quote, "This was a hostile takeover from an evil, corrupt network of players, not just Democrats," end quote. And the drop concludes with, quote, "Patriots are in control. Sit back and enjoy the show," end quote. What? This was? Folks, I'm on day 2. This was a hostile takeover. Military precision? But wait, there are more cast members introduced in Drop 5, along with new elements of crime. The cast members include Nancy Pelosi, John No Name, the Soros son, the Canadian Prime Minister, ex-Pres Bill, by association to wife HRC, and MS-13. Follow the money. How can you just get on a plane and fly away? And is it possible to use a gang to insulate from exposure? How and at what cost? These are new elements of crime being placed at our feet to research. Quote, "The truth is mind-blowing and cannot fully be exposed," end quote. To reiterate, day 2. We are also informed that this evil is embedded globally. The U.S. will be the first cleaned. HRC emails in Drop 7 is explained why she was not indicted. She was given permission, although implied, per Obama, for her non-government email account. Obama and his cabinet members communicated with her via this account. This gave her implied consent to use the email account. It further explains that if she were indicted on the email account, then Obama and his cabinet would also be indicted for using said account to communicate. That would prove to be a weak indictment for an ex-president. It did, however, become known that he lied about his awareness of her non-government email address through a document dump. Drop 8 takes us back to Uma. It gives us insight on where she is today. With husband Anthony in jail, it appears that Uma was given a choice. It leads us to believe she left all behind to be with child. The educated guess is that she had to provide something in order to be afforded the opportunity to be with that said child. Continuing with Drop 8, still only the second day into the Q movement, we are informed that information is most valuable. We are informed that the 3-letter agencies have been placed under the direction of POTUS's selections, and they are now in control of those said agencies. AG Sessions decides the fate of leakers, fire or prosecute. Reorganization is well underway at this point. Senate is confirming judges, and Senate Republicans are dropping out, and not by choice. Also, the Republican congressmen that have dropped out, and not necessarily by choice. They will, prior to leaving their current position, vote on the side of POTUS. Moving on to Q Drop 9, Q points out that the local and national leaders of the black communities were paid handsomely to propagate an agenda to keep the people of the communities entrenched in poverty. This was done through the Democratic Party in order to maintain a control of the narrative that a Republican economy was no good for them. The only people that could help them out of poverty were the Democrats. This was an ill-intended narrative. Where are those community leaders now? Have they been exposed for who they are? And were they given an opportunity to disappear from public view? The Democrats relied on the mainstream media to propagate and further their agenda. It was through the oversight of the Democratic Party that the internet would have such an effect against them. Once that realization occurred, then massive funding was put into place by the CIA in order to censor the voices that rose against them. Have you seen any evidence of censorship in the social media platforms? That question, of course, rhetorical. We are told, quote, that will fail. This is where I interject once again. I cannot help but think again that this is only day 2 of the Q movement, that this thing was already wrapped up in some pretty paper, tied up in a wonderful bow, awaiting for the right time for the general public to open this incredible gift. Maybe to celebrate the great awakening of the sleeping giant, or to celebrate the rebirth of the greatest nation on the planet. Yes, this may be about America first, but, as we are told, this is a worldwide issue. Therefore, is the Great Awakening a worldwide event? People all over the world must be awakened in order for the entire truth to be revealed, and even then the entire truth may be too much for many to handle. As I sit here and ponder all that we know has taken place and all that we have been made aware of, it seems as though the deep state has used the American government and the entertainment industry as its point guard, the pivot man, whatever term you would like to use in order to promote their worldwide agenda. They had put Russia where it needed to be, the Middle East where it needed to be, the Vatican in the corner, and the final pass from the United States to China cutting across the lane for an easy slam dunk, changing the game forever. The one thing they overlooked was the big 7-footer guarding the rim, the military intelligence of the United States of America, who has now aggressively swatted the ball out of the hands of those who anticipated victory. The outlet pass goes from the Navy SEALs over to the Army Rangers with a pick provided by the Air Force, a pass over to the Marines that to the perfectly timed alley-oop to the soaring President Donald J. Trump, stuffing it home at the buzzer. Game over. I guess I got a little carried away right there. But look, all of the information we have been given in just 2 days of the moment. We at this point in the reread are only 9 months into this presidency, folks. We are watching a movie. Grab the popcorn and enjoy the show. Quite honestly, with all of the movie signs that Q has shown us, we are watching a series of movies. Each will have an ending of its own, which will all come together in the end. We are at war. It is a silent war, and if that's the case, then is it outside the realm of reality to determine that the major players have not yet been arrested? However, could they not be detained as prisoners of war? Was it not mentioned in the Q post that both Democrats and Republicans will do as they are told? They will support the president and the military intelligence? This, as they are given the choice to step down from their collective positions in order to make the deal to save their own lives? I ask you again, does anyone think it odd we only see part of the story at a time? When do we see or hear from the deep state leadership? Have you noticed we only see them when it is important to further a narrative? It has been mentioned that the first arrest will shock the world. Would it shock the world if it were an American deep state leader? What about an American household name, such as a famous actor, that no one would think he would do what he's accused of? What about a world-renowned religious leader, such as a pope? What do you think would shock the world? What if it were a deep state central banker? I'm not certain that a person of that nature would have enough name recognition. Low-level FBI or CIA operatives would not be enough to shock the world. Come to think of it, I really doubt that the leadership of those three-letter agencies would be enough to shock the world. As I read Post 21, again, it leads me to believe that there's nothing anyone could do to stop what is coming. Q basically calling checkmate in November of 2017. Quote, "At this point, we are far enough along, you can paint the picture without risk of jeopardizing the operation." End quote. Post 22 asks the question, who can be held hostage and controlled? End quote. Post 24 claims that any person making statements they will not be reseeking election was put in submission. For the betterment of the country, not all will be prosecuted, and all will do as they're told. We will never know everything that has come to fruition and how. There are too many classified details that ties back to many heads of state around the world that, if released, would do irreparable harm to foreign relations. That would be devastating to our foreign policy and many newly established allies in this fight to clean up world corruption. This as stated in Post 27. Other classified information may come out in the end, but not before. In Post 29, Q tells us straight up that Kim was not running North Korea. He's just an actor in a play. Americans, the Post claims, would not take the news of who is running North Korea very well at all. Post 29 then transitions back to the pedo networking. The head of the snake is in the process of being cut off. Child abductions from Haiti and other third world countries has been paused. There appears to be, at this point, more that need to be placed into custody in order to stop the trafficking altogether. And yet again, the claim in the Post, quote, "We are truly up against pure evil," end quote. The realization that this is a war, whether a silent war, a war of the world, or a civil war, is revealed in Post 30. Q informs us that a device had been left behind in the White House that would create harm to anyone around the device. Harm would come and the device would remain undetected. Let us play a hypothetical game. If you were the opposition to Q, would you go quietly? Unless you never seen it coming and the attack came in like a thief in the night. You were hit on all fronts at the same time. Game over? The public now needs informed gradually. The writer of the Post reminds us of the delicate balance between ensuring the voters are happy with, quote, "We are doing well for America," end quote, while at the same time removing the deep state actors that had been embedded in our government for years. I am reading and reporting on just the facts of the Q posts. I'm not filling up the pages with noise from the outside. The noise is the distraction. Do not be distracted. Stay vigilant as to what is transpiring around you, but empty your surroundings of the noise. Think for yourself, sheep no more. Let us see if we can get this straight. There has been a tremendous amount of information given in the Q post from October 28th to November 2nd, 2017. It appears as though all of the information needed is given to the readers of the Post from very early on. We have been inundated with information on deep state actors, motivations, and agendas. Some questions I have to ask. Who is the single most powerful country in the world? What makes this so? What country is the single most threat to globalism? Why? In order to have a completed agenda of a new world order, what must take place? How has this plan to diminish the power of said country been implemented? Why ghost towns in China? How has the greatest single power in the world been attacked in order to remove the threat to globalism? How long would it take to bring down such a powerhouse? What amendment of the Constitution of the United States places fear in the minds of the globalists? What two subjects are the people of the United States warned about speaking of in public? What two subjects should be spoken of in public? What would happen if we were able to sit down with differing opinions and discuss, not fight, but discuss the political and religious happenings in this country and abroad? What countries have been afforded the opportunity to influence the most powerful country on the planet? Where did it begin? Has Britain ever stopped the war against the great American experiment? Who wants control of the world? Who are the globalists? Does money and greed and wealth determine the power structure of the world? If money controls the power structure, then who should be the most powerful country in the world? How much money does Saudi Arabia have at its discretion? Does it compare to the amount of money controlled by the Vatican? If money were power, then with the amount of debt the United States has incurred, should the United States be the most powerful country in the world? When negotiating a deal, who has the power? The one with the ability to walk away at any point? Is power not equivalent to freedom? Is power not equivalent to strength? Who truly holds the power? Does the power belong to the giant? What if the giant awakens? Here is my translation of the movie thus far. The Great American Experiment began as the brave men broke away from England. They fought to remove the stronghold of the monarchy over this great land. The British royals realized the resolve of these men and decided to let the experiment go forward. They never wanted to give up complete control. However, they soon realized that the experiment had a chance to survive on its own. This was not a desired result of the monarchy across the water. They have been trying to regain control ever since. However, they are not the only ones that wanted control over the new land. Rome saw an opportunity to take control themselves. They had seen a way to infiltrate this great land through religion. Religion was one reason America was to break away from the influence of Britain. With that in mind, does it not make sense that the new government was formed under such influence as the Masons and the Jesuits? This battle for the new land has been going on for over 200 years. Whomever controls the United States will inevitably control the world. As the time has passed, the third player moved in to attempt to control the United States. Those folks wanted to promote their own religious aspects upon the world, Sharia law. Now our country, the single most powerful country on the planet, has been infiltrated by three different philosophies in a fight for control and world dominance. Gorbachev of Russia, then the Soviet Union, declared that there was no way to destroy the United States with military might. However, if patient enough, the country will destroy itself from within. Are we currently sleeping while all of these battles take place for control of our country? Again, world dominance begins with the control of America. A fourth player decided to join the fight, China. China began its infiltration through money. Investment and financial ownership within the confines of our borders lead them to believe they could gain control quietly with money. Everyone loves money. The Chinese found that the American people loved money. People became the commodity the Chinese were looking for. Have they not been on a quest to buy and sell Americans on a daily basis? America has always been the envy of the world, but each foe that wants to control the country realizes that it cannot be done with military might. We have far too many armed citizens for any country to come in and defeat the giant with might. We are the mighty force. We are the power of the world. We have in this country people who wish to be a part of globalism. They believe for some reason that if they help in the destruction of this great experiment, that they themselves will become wealthy and powerful and become part of the world's elite. The good thing, in my opinion, is that there are far too many patriots in this country to allow this to happen. These people believe in the Constitution as written. They believe that freedom is power. They believe that this is the greatest country on the planet. They believe that the philosophies of this country are worth dying for. Are you one of them? Greed has infiltrated this country, a power climb to the top, stepping on anyone who gets in the way. This movement has been accelerated from the 1940s with the end of World War II. CIA ops such as Project Paperclip, Project Mockingbird, and so forth was extremely effective on the people of America. This agenda was brought forth through all types of media. The plan was to diminish the moral standings of this country. Sex, sex, and more sex. Everybody should have sex with everybody and anyone. After all, we're only animals, right? Sex sells. Family life isn't what it's cracked up to be. People go to work, make a paycheck, come home to the same woman every night. There has to be something better, right? Sure there is. Go to work, keep your money, buy the greatest stuff for yourself, and have sex with whomever you wish on any given night. That is so much better, right? That, my friends, was the beginning of the demise of the country we knew and loved. Anything goes. The British invasion of the late 50s and early 60s was a monstrous influence on our society today. It was planned to be just that, an influence to the demise of our land. The media has been hard at work ever since. Project Mockingbird was designed to lull us to sleep. They used human weakness against us. We all have fallen victim to the plan. As we seek to pleasure ourselves, others are hard at work to remove the power from us and transfer it to a global society where anything goes, and we, the sheep worldwide, can be further controlled and manipulated in order to give the power to the global elites. This agenda, fortunately, did not go unnoticed by people who swore to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you to our protectors, our brothers and sisters of the United States Military Forces. Military intelligence has been watching the plot to overtake this country for years. They have now implemented a plan of their own to take back the country in a way as to not lose our citizens as a casualty of war. It is a war behind the scenes. The war began with the takedown of American sellouts, the players that took money for global power. They have been bought and sold with global money. They have sold themselves to the highest bidder. The plot to take over the world was far underway until now. As I say we as patriots of this country, fight the fight to take back our country, we all have a part to play. Some of us are in a position to gently awaken the populace and give them the opportunity to recognize what is transpiring before their very eyes. Some have the daunting task to investigate the players involved and remove them from positions that would lead to further detriment of America. Some have the unenviable task of physically separating, permanently, evildoers from their life on this planet. Make no mistake, the United States of America is the most powerful country on the planet due to the might, the strength, and the resolve of its people. Once awakened, the giant will, and always will, fight back. The patriots of this land will come out victorious or die trying. That is the great resolve of the American people, and it is the greatest spirit of our land. It is the ability and the will to live free from the tyranny of the global elites. It is the passion of the live free or die spirit within the patriotic collection of the people gathered in one location, the United States of America. Perhaps the American people would have eventually awakened on their own to fight back and regain their sovereignty. But the fear is, by that point, it would have taken a tremendous amount of violence and bloodshed. At this point, the Great Awakening has occurred with only limited casualties. For those who still do not understand what is transpiring, please remove your belief that everything is a conspiracy theory. Ask someone who has done the research. More importantly, listen to the response with an open mind. Then, verify. Do your own research. You may find the truth. One thing that makes the globalist elites tremble with fear is your knowledge of the truth. It is your knowledge that leads to action to stop the takeover that has been occurring for centuries. Today, I believe the bad actors have been detained as prisoners of war, and they are being used to awaken the remainder of the giant. The information push has been moving on a daily basis, whether it be through Russia collusion, Ukrainian corruption, the impeachment process, the mainstream media, the Q movement, and the content creators on social media. One way or another, the American populace will hear the truth. And sometimes, as they say, truth is stranger than fiction. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Trace Williams. I'm just asking you the question, what do you think? Thank you, and have a great day. God bless you.